Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we're going to learn a few economic problems, macroeconomic problem I mean, and the first one is inflation. So before we outline the policy recommendation, how to overcome the inflation. Before that, we should know what's the inflation. Inflation is constantly increase in the price level measured by the price index, and we have few indicators to measure price index. One of them if consumer price index. So the consumer price index is the average price for consumer goods. So we have various consumer goods. We have food, we have communications, healthcare, and we have also the fuel price, and many more. And all these goods are only the consumer products, and government observe the consumer products price, and they formulate an index to measure an increase or decrease in the price of the goods. And the government give a 100-point index to the base year price. So the government need to determine which year is the base year, and then the government give 100 point to the base year, and any deviation from the base year price, for example, if the price increase to 120, that means the price has increased 20 points as compared to the base year price. Instead, if the price decrease to 90, that means 10 points decrease in the price as compared to base year. So an increase from the base year, an increase in the index from the previous year. Let's say we have data from 90, 91, 92. So we have CPI 90. Let's say 90. Our 90 is your base year. So we have CPI data here, and let's say 90 is your base year. So 90 index will be given as 100, and then any deviation from the base year price we consider as an increase or decrease in the price of consumer products or consumer goods and services. And let's say here, if the price if the index of for 91 is 120, it means that the price on average increased by 20 points, and for 92 will be, let's say, 110. How to measure this the inflation? Inflation and increase and decrease from the year before. Let's say this is the annual data. So inflation will be your CPI current year divided by CPI a year before, CPI current year minus CPI a year before divided by CPI a year before. That means 120 minus 100 divided by 100. For this as inflation equal to inflation of year one. So, and for the year two, for 91 will be 120 minus 100 divided by 100, and that's the inflation for 91, and inflation for 92 will be 110 minus 120 divided by 120. So for the year, you can see here a decrease in the price index as compared to a year before. So this situation is called deflation. A decrease in in the general price, which is price of consumer products or consumer goods and services. Okay, and this the here is from in 91 inflation, 92 deflation. So inflation, you cannot say that inflation is bad. Empirically, we have a situation where we have faced deflation, a decrease in the general price, or inflation. Inflation, we have situation where a low inflation, a medium inflation, and high inflation. And inflation is good for the economy if the rate is stable and low, because inflation means signal the increase in price, and the suppliers will react to increase the supplies of goods. Whereas if the inflation is quite high, so it will affect the both consumers and producers. It will affect consumers in terms of purchasing power, and it will affect the suppliers in terms of labor's reacting, labor's reaction to demand for higher salaries. So they will affect the end goods price. Okay, so that's the inflation is all about. So how to so we have a few types of inflation. The first one is the demand pull inflation. It's a inflation caused by changes in demand, which is an increase in aggregate demand. And this, we have also the cost push inflation. Inflation caused by an increase in the price of inputs, which push the cost up. And we have import inflation. Inflation due to an increase in the price of imported products. Import inflation. So demand pull inflation is, you can show in a figure here. We have general price, average price, the same, measured by price index, and CPI is an example of price index. You have national income here. You have aggregate demand. You have aggregate supply. The intersection produce the general price in the economy, and your national income, your income. And demand pull inflation is caused by an increase in demand. There's a few causes that cause aggregate demand to increase. And the one which is what caused the an increase in aggregate demand. One is an increase in money supply, an increase in government spending, an increase in investment, an increase in consumption, and a few other factors that affect aggregate demand to increase. If the aggregate demand increase from AD0 to AD1 due to any of these factors, cause the aggregate demand curve to move upward, to shift upward. Okay. And then it cause the price to increase from P0 to P1, and but the output increase or national income increase, so Y0 to Y1, which is this is the impact of demand pull inflation. But you need to know where. So if inflation will be a problematic if an increase from P0 to P1 is quite high to the consumers or to the economy. So the government need to intervene this. So this, the problem is, so this the causes, some of the causes that cause this, and we have other causes also can move up the aggregate demand. So this is the demand full inflation. We have also the cost push inflation, which is caused by the an increase in the price of inputs of production. So you have aggregate supply, you have aggregate demand here. So we have the equilibrium here. That cost P, general P. What's the general price? So what's your output or national income at the equilibrium intersection of AS0, AD0. So what cost if the price of input increase, it will increase the cost of production. So what this cost of production affect the suppliers negatively by decreasing the supplies, because the motivation of the suppliers is to produce is the profit. So if the cost of production increase, so they earn less profit. To maintain higher profit, they need to reduce the supplies. So if they reduce the supplies, it will cause the aggregate supply curve upward. So move to the left. So this will affect the price to increase from P0 to P1, and your national output decrease from 10 to 11. So this situation where input price causes the inflation, and this kind of inflation we name it as cost push inflation. So the another inflation is will be important, can be important if the imported products are quite dominant in the market. So we have products imported, we have product produced domestically. These products are substitutes and in the market, and they mix together. For example, mineral water. So you have imported mineral water and you have same quality domestically produced mineral water. So if in the market you have more and imported mineral water, so it will affect the market price if there is a situation where inflation happen in the producer country. So it will affect the country who import that mineral water. So how to overcome this? Okay, how to overcome these three kind of inflation? So to overcome the imported inflation, so you need to know, is there any option to reduce the price? So if you think that you have option to reduce the tax, import duty. If you have option to reduce import duties, you can reduce the import duties or eliminate the import duties. So by reducing or eliminating the import duties, so if you think that you can decrease the price of imported products, so you may do so. Otherwise, if you think that the products has already been imported by with no import duties, so you need to do something else. You need to do quota. You need to put the embargo in order to restrict the imports of the imported product that have faced inflation in the producer's country. So that is the way how you need to overcome the import inflation. How to overcome these two? Okay. For this one, since you know that this kind cost push inflation is due to the price of the input, you need to find out whether the inputs are imported or not, or produced locally. If the inputs are imported, so you can use this kind of measures by reducing or abolishing the import duties. So one, that's abolition or reducing the import duties if the inputs are imported. If not, or if the inputs are locally produced, so you can use the another option by imposing the ceiling price on the input. So you set the ceiling price, which is lower than the market price of the inputs. So the producers get the inputs at lower price. That's another option. You can argue on that. So what the other options? That's 1 and 2. So you can think about the third or fourth options. You need to in order to overcome the cost push inflation. Okay, we move on. We move on to the demand pull inflation. So since it is related to in changes of money supply, an increase of money supply due to an increase in this and this, or maybe this. So since you know what causes the aggregate demand to increase, and which has caused the increase in price, so you can reverse the situation by, for example, by implementing the contractionary monetary policy by reducing the money supply, or you may use the contractionary fiscal policy by reducing government spending, or increasing the tax, or you need to do something to reduce investment. That's a weird one. For example, by increasing tax on corporate entities, or you need to do something regarding consumption. Maybe the consumption increase due to the cheap personal financing. You need to increase, for example, interest rate in order to reduce personal financing. So by increasing the interest rate, the cost of personal financing increase, so the consumption will decrease. So you will cause the demand curve reverse back to the original one, or it will cause this one AS to reverse back to original situation. So that's the way how you can there's a lot of option. There's a lots of option you may select. Maybe you need 1 or 2 to overcome this kinds of inflation. Okay, that's all for the inflation. See you again in the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.